Welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Are heavy to drive speakers a waste of money? So, this is a very interesting question. I've made this very thorough video where I talk about a lot of detail that you need to consider in regards to hi-fi. Getting these special expensive, hard to drive speakers sounding as good as possible. Don't worry, guys. I'll make this a tiny bit bigger so the few of you that can't read it get a bit of extra good special treatment there. I'm just making this more easy to understand for most people because it looks a bit ugly when I make it too big, the text. Okay, so some very good stuff in this video, some very hardcore information. So I think that, yeah, I haven't talked about it a lot on my channel, but Magical, some few of those Wilson audio speakers, some few of those Rockport speakers, some of those Karma audio speakers, and a lot of that stuff up there in that price range. They have a lot of good stuff going for them, you know. They're really impressive. They do a lot of detail in this and that aspect that I really like. Overall, I personally wouldn't want to pick a speaker like that, mostly because of the size, the weight, the cost, and just because I just feel that I'm just not quite getting the music experience. I would say that out of all of these speakers, I still felt that with the Karma speakers, and then second most Rockport, and then perhaps I don't know, Magical, and then Wilson audio speakers. That in that order, I kind of like them, you know. But so this is your this is the information that you need to tame those speakers. Okay, so this isn't just me ranting about I don't like them, blah blah blah, fake, and then you can consider me a snob. No. I went to a lot of trouble here to figure out a way of these types of speakers that a lot of people have in the world. How the hell can we how can we elevate that sound so that the average becomes just so much more high performing without it being more expensive to do so? Okay, so I've written a lot of good stuff that you guys can read. I'm not going to go too much into that detail, but I just want to show you. Oh yeah, there's this other video you guys might want to check about pretend hi-fi, how it gets you stuck on detail. The thing is, when you have these speakers, they are very demanding power-wise, and usually you have to have some power amps with some preamp stuff going on to tame these speakers. And like I've written here, it's gonna make hi-fi, especially for people that are just new to hi-fi, it's gonna make it a hell of a lot more difficult getting to the end destination where you want to go. So I don't recommend starting on serious stuff like this. This is pretty high level, difficult stuff to tame. But let me just help you guys. So there's some text you guys can read here, and let me just show you the brands here. So here we are. If you guys have these speakers and you want to attain the best possible sound that you can, I used a lot of time figuring out how you can do that, where exactly you want to look for the best stuff on the market. And I know a lot of guys can't buy Audionote, they can't buy Kondo, they can't buy Niagara, they can't buy Spectral. That's the stuff I mainly want people to have. But there is a problem of price. Okay, that stuff can be pretty pricey. It can. So I've managed to find some really, really good top performers that actually are pretty good value. Pretty good value. And I would like to see people in the world, when they have these speakers, trying to use this group A stuff here, Goldman, Burmeister, the best of audio research, Jadis ear, the best of past labs, and Yamaha 3000 and 5000 model line. I don't see a lot of people, especially with the Yamaha stuff, using that on these fine speakers. And people need to know in the world that Yamaha, a lot of people use Yamaha on some smaller speakers in some smaller rooms, but these things are actually very good for those types of speakers. They actually do a lot of good. So don't feel that you have to use these on cheaper speakers in smaller rooms. You usually have to, but I would say that Yamaha, once you get up to around this level, possibly also around the 2000 level, but I'm not entirely sure about that when we're dealing with these ultra revealing speakers. I would more say Yamaha 3000 model line, and especially the 5000 model line, are really good with these types of speakers. Of course, there's the usual audio note stuff. Yeah, they're so power demanding that you most likely would need an M3 preamp. With something like a integrated Jinro, Tomai, or Ongaku, a lot of people in the world just can't afford, so you just look somewhere else. But it's important to remember that audio note can still solve these problems at an extremely high level, where if you have something like Gakuon or something a bit cheaper around that level, with just an M3 preamp, it can sound ridiculously good on these types of speakers, even though they're so heavy to drive. So yeah, this is a really, really good tip for you guys. If you can at all find Bob Carver 180 monoblocks and then have it with something like an Audio Note M3 preamp, you've basically beaten the game. You've basically beaten, I would say, 99% of all the combinations in the world, because that is such a good killer combination. That gives you so much value. A lot of people would rather want to go down here and look for Solution Boulder MSB. That's impressive stuff, really powerful, lots of control, does a lot of this and that detail. Maybe even Bacasti, which is a lot more, I would say, lively and fast. Not really my kind of tea, but I kind of feel that still it's a bit better than these guys here. But again, man, you just gotta you gotta be a certain type of person with a certain type of style that can appreciate this stuff. It's a very certain type of sound that I'm not so crazy about. But Class A, yeah, Class A, the newer stuff is supposed to be a lot better, I've heard, but I haven't heard it myself. But it also looks like it's built better, like they're actually using proper parts now. And all of these other things here, they're also kind of good, like a good second alternative to all of this. But I still wouldn't do it, and I think that most people wouldn't even pick this sort of gear to solve the problem. That actually go down to like a group C that I haven't put in here, like some half old lower level Mark Levinson Past Labs or Macintosh. I feel that once you start doing things like that, it becomes very, very difficult, and you start shooting yourself in the foot because you're committing yourself to a certain type of sound. So I would recommend people, if they can at all, sticking to this group of brands. And yeah, it's a bit pricey, but like I've said here, when you get something like the Macintosh thing here, I, by the way, haven't heard this, but I've heard from friends that it's like a completely new breed of Macintosh sound that is well above the Macintosh standard. So it's almost like it's not even a Macintosh brand anymore. Just like with the the Yamaha stuff here. This doesn't really feel like Yamaha sound. It's such a high level. It's like an exclusive sister brand to Yamaha. And I would say that I also get the feeling, looking at people's reactions, listening to friends, that this stuff here is exceptionally good compared to the normal Macintosh stuff. Also with the YBA signature gear, it's well above all the other YBA stuff. But just want to say to you guys, when you, for example, get something like a Macintosh and it's integrated and it's very powerful and it's got a pretty okay DAC and a rear, and you're solving a lot of problems, and it's probably going to seem like an insane amount of money to use on an amplifier, but it's still Macintosh, and it still has a relatively safe sound. So not only do you have the power, you have the safe sound and the integration. So I think that this is like a really good safe bet, and it's going to seem like an insane amount of money. Good. If you feel that that's an insane amount of money, then get something that I think is probably even better, which is this. You can probably get that for like a third of the price if you're lucky, used on the used market. If you can at all, get this. This is like the most best value, top sound, works on most speakers type of thing that I can recommend. It's really, really, really good value. But it can be difficult to get a hold of. So I would look for the 180 model, or probably the newer 350 model. I wouldn't go for the lowest Bob Carver monoblocks. I don't think that they're good enough to drive these types of speakers, but you can of course try. So really good news for you guys. Okay, I found the stuff that will most likely make you succeed with these types of speakers. And yeah, a lot of good text you guys also can read here. I'm just gonna go a bit down, and yeah, really good important factor here about wattage, why a lot of people need so many watts to solve their problems. And I don't think I've mentioned this so much on my channel, but when you have gear that is so far away from the wall, because you've got your subwoofers and you want the clean subwoofer sound, because you've got your projector video thing also going on in the same room, it causes problems. It really causes problems. I think a lot of people don't really realize that if you put subwoofers there and you have to have your speakers like 3, 4, 5 meters away from the wall in front of you and the sides, man, are you just gonna need a lot of power and money and time to throw at those speakers to fully control it. So if you can, get those speakers as close as possible to the wall in front of you and the side walls. It really helps glue detail so much more together. And yeah, it can sometimes perhaps sound not as cool and free as you want it, not being as clear and doing this type of detail and that type of detail, but it usually is a more honest, real, and cohesive sound that's glued properly together. As soon as you get this huge amount of space around the speakers, even though they're big speakers, we could also put like a Focal Utopia on this list. They're probably one of those speakers that needs the most air around it. Man, don't have too much air around the speakers, even with a speaker like that. It easily becomes too much of a freak show of a sound, where you're chasing the gear instead of the music. So more help for you guys. So I'm gonna be nice here, and I'm gonna give you like a fast shortcut of how I see it, how most people should try and approach it. So this is like level 1. You can try and do this, get like a Macintosh MA 12,000, or like a mid to top integrated Dan Agostino or Griffin. Yeah, that is pretty expensive, maybe not relevant, but remember this, guys. I made a video before about, for example, I think it was like the Negra VPA monoblocks and the PLP preamp. That's still some of the best gear in the world, and you can get that used together for only like 20,000 US dollars, you know, and that stuff would usually cost hundreds or maybe 150 thousand US dollars, you know. So don't look at that as if that's expensive. That's a very clean, perfect type of analytical sound. I think a lot of people will like that, and especially there are some people that are like really, you know, they're really deep into, you know, Nordost type of sound and these cables that do all of this crazy detail. Fine, if you have Niagara gear, it probably makes it more easy to deal with that type of thing. So have that in mind, you know, just think about that is a possibility. Or for example, spectral gear, it can be some used spectral gear from 2010 or something like that. Still very, very good value. It doesn't look very sexy, it doesn't look appealing. Their homepage looks like something from the very start of the internet, but it's so much better than it looks. It's basically the best transistor gear in the world. I recommend using that if you can. And yeah, then there's these models here that I don't mention so much. Jinru or Tomai from Audio Note. Yeah, get like a used version of that with like an M3 preamp. That's all you need. You know, you can still get a lot better than that, but that's still really, really good value. You know, I don't know exactly what that's gonna cost. I'm guessing like 15, 20K US dollars used, and then I don't know. I'm guessing 5, 6, 7 thousand US dollars used. If you get it like in a signature version, that's still pretty good. Good value money. You know, it's gonna save you so much money on your CD player, on your DAC, on your speaker, on your cables, on your power bar. You know, that in itself is enough to kind of drive the whole system, and you can actually put like a half crap CD player or maybe even a half crap DAC on there, you know, and get away with it more, you know. So I'm just telling you guys, if you absolutely have to use that really crappy cheap streamer solutions, you know, this actually is pretty good for that, you know. It's actually pretty good alternative, so you should actually take that into consideration, you know. It is worth thinking about. A lot of good handy information, some success stories, and yeah, basically approaching the end of the video here. So really good hardcore information for you guys. I hope you guys can use it. And yeah, for those people that can't see very well, let me just quickly one last time make it really big so you guys also don't have problems viewing all of this. And you can just put it on pause, 720p full screen on a PC or maybe even like a big phone or an iPad. Then you should be able to read this stuff. So I spent a lot of time figuring this stuff out. And as you can see, I saved a lot of people money, usually in this area here per person, when dealing with these higher level setups. So I think it's good. It's good just to take this information in, and of course, if you feel that this is crap, not worth your time, and you want to go a different path, I totally respect that. This is just extra information for you guys. So yeah, you have like my version of what I think is the closest way of maxing out those speakers. And yeah, I would of course like a one of those speakers that I mentioned above. You know, they have a lot of good certain type of detail going on for them that is really, really appealing, you know, especially Wilson audio speakers with like spectral gear. You know, it's like one of the most magical things I've ever heard. Hard to describe that sound, but I would also say that a lot of people that own a lot of audio companies say privately that that's basically the best that they've heard. So yeah, some extra help for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you can. Bye.